Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Catriella Friedman, and I'm so excited to welcome you to this Welcome Aboard webinar for new communities that are joining us just as we come to the national launch. And of course, this is a very historical moment for us. We've been in pilot mode for less than 2 years, and it's unbelievable that we've actually reached this moment when PJ Our Way is going live. It's almost scary to even say it, live to all of North America. And we can't tell you how happy we are that you as new communities and new professionals from veteran communities are joining us for this monumental occasion. So it's really a moment for a Shechianu and a L'chaim, and I wish I could see you all so that we could raise a glass together to talk about how exciting this is. Before we get, as you'll see from this first slide, here's our schedule for this afternoon, for me this evening. And I also want to welcome two of our amazing team members who are on the call. Saskia Swenson-Moss, who's really been a part of PJ Our Way from almost the beginning. And she's our coordinator of content and programming, and she's also the director of the design team, the national design team, which you'll hear about more later in this webinar. And I also want to welcome Jamie Wright, who started with us a year ago as a camp consultant and just recently, during the summer, accepted a full-time position to become the PJ Our Way engagement officer. And she's going to be talking to you more about marketing and about camp when we get through this, when we get later into this webinar. So before we start, it is our tradition to always begin our webinars with a Dvar Torah. For a few reasons. First of all, it's important to realize and understand, and for us to remember that our programs, PJ Our Way, they're more than just books. There's something that we're trying to get at, and that's Jewish engagement, Jewish education, Jewish connection. And also to take a moment to nourish ourselves in the process that we're learning so that we can help others connect with PJ Our Way and PJ Library, but we also need to take a moment to reflect for ourselves. So it just so happens that this webinar is being scheduled right before my favorite parsha in the whole Torah. And there are great parshiot, but Ki Tavo, this week's parsha, is essentially, to me, the example of Jewish engagement par excellence. And why is that? Ki Tavo, the first part of Ki Tavo talks about what the Israelites should do when they bring their first fruits, when they bring their bikurim to the temple. And it's a highly unusual passage because it's very much scripted and it's very much choreographed. Each Israelite raises the fruits over their head and then says, "My father was a wandering Aramean." And then each person goes through the history of what happened with Abraham, what happened with Isaac and Jacob and the mothers, and then eventually when the Israelites got to Egypt, and then enslavement, and finally they were freed from Egypt, and then they made their way to the Promised Land. But what's so fascinating about this passage is that every single Israelite who goes through this highly scripted, highly choreographed scene, not a single one of them ever experienced getting out of Egypt. All those people are long gone. Those are past generations. These are Israelites in the land of Israel who have no memory of what happened, and yet each of them says it personally. My father was a wandering Aramean. I was in Egypt. I was enslaved. And to me, that is Jewish engagement par excellence. It really just outlines an idea. How do you get people to invest in an ideal? How do you get them to feel as though they themselves belong and are part of an experience, even though that experience happened hundreds of years before? And of course, our tradition recognizes how amazing this passage is because eventually it became the background, the framework for the Haggadah that we read on Passover, which of course is the top Jewish engagement holiday that there is. So as professionals, as Jewish professionals in the field, working with Jewish organizations, working with PJ Library and PJ Our Way, that is our challenge. That's your challenge in the field. How do you introduce a new idea? How do you make it a seamless experience while generating excitement for it? Even for yourselves, some of you are veteran professionals. You've been working with PJ Library for years and years. How do you generate excitement and energy each time you introduce a family to that experience? And I think there's so much wisdom in the way things are set out in Kitavo. Now, a word about you as communities. You know, obviously we've gone through three different groups of communities that went through us with the pilot, and they really were in the trenches with us. But you're a special group. You're the first group of communities to join us as we move from pilot into an actual real-life program. And not to become too hyperbolic, but I will for a second, so just forgive me. Our pilot communities left Egypt with us, but you are entering the promised land with us. You are entering this new reality with us. And so you may not remember what it was like in the desert, but our veteran communities remember that, we remember that, and luckily they're still around to help us and to show us what the best practices are. But you are in a new reality, and so we expect a kind of symbiotic relationship with you as well to understand from you what are the things that you need, what are the resources that you need, what are the things that we can do to help guide you, and by virtue of that, you help guide us. So we welcome you, and we're just very excited to be starting with this new group of communities on the very day that we have started with the national launch. Okay, what is PJ Our Way and why PJ Our Way? So obviously the real reason for PJ Our Way is we wanted to know, the foundation wanted to know, how do you continue the PJ Library experience? We had so much feedback from families and from professionals from the field that said, don't let it stop at age 8, keep it going. So the first thing we did when we said, okay, let's continue PJ Library, we said, what's going on for kids in this age group? And lo and behold, we thought, you know, the best thing that could happen for us if there was a national platform, if something existed nationally where we could just get in there and introduce PJ Our Way. But we looked and there was nothing. Aside from a few professionals like Brandy in Tampa and Tracy in Greenwich, who had independently decided to expand the PJ Library experience beyond age 8. And we've actually learned from them in terms of the programming that they started already, well, you know, already before we started PJ Our Way. There was nothing national. You know, there's Kadima here and there, there's Jewish Scouts here and there, but there's no national platform to engage kids in this age group. And we really saw a need. So we said, okay, if no platform exists, you know, we'll be like Hillel. We will create the platform. And that's what we did. And the first thing we realized is, and we'll be talking about this as the webinar continues, when you know kids ages 9 through 11, you know that kids in this age group, you cannot send them a book in the mail. You cannot say, this is the book you're reading this month. You have to introduce choice. And by introducing choice, you're doing two things. And I think as professionals, you need to remember this. By introducing choice, you're getting kids who are more invested in the process. They have to actively go to the website to choose their book. But on the other hand, these are kids who can very easily fall off your radar because they have to be reminded to choose and because there's no default book that will just arrive to their house magically. So there's pros and cons with it. Now, we have 3 principles for our philosophy of PJ Our Way. First of all, as I mentioned, we don't want kids falling off the Jewish engagement spectrum. And why not? Because we want them to be a part of the Jewish conversation. We want them to have the concepts, the ideas, the terminology, the vocabulary, and the discussion points to be able to continue and to be a part of that Jewish conversation. We don't want them to fall off the conversation spectrum, and books are a marvelous way of continuing the conversation, both at home, both individually, and as well as in community programming. So this is a great tool for continuing the conversation. The second really important element to engaging kids in this age group is knowing that they need to be empowered. They need to be engaged and empowered. And that's what we call bottom up. We start with them. Every element of this program has been approved by kids, from our marketing to our videos to the books that we choose. Kids are a part of every element of the process. And as you'll learn from Saskia later in the webinar and also in webinars that come up, kids are becoming more and more a part of the local engagement process as well. And finally, moving kids up the ladder, and this is like the Dayenu. As many touch points as can be created for these kids that touch on Jewish social engagement, the more likely it will be that these kids will make Jewish choices and be a part of Jewish community later in their lives when they become adults. And this has been shown time and again with camp studies, with studies that look at Jewish camp. So we try to create the same thing with this program. Kids have to invest their time and thinking to choose a book. And then we encourage them to write reviews on the website. We encourage them to create videos that we can put on the website. We encourage them, and you encourage them, to become part of social engagement interactions on a local level. And then we've got the national design team, and then we've got small local design teams where kids can create these social engagements. And that really is the goal. That really is the tool that we're talking about. As many of those points that can be created, the more guarantee we have that this will happen, that we will create engaged Jewish adults. So professional takeaways from these first few points. You're part of a new era. You're the first group of communities to come out of our pilot with us and to come into PJRWay as a full-grown program. Use this program as a platform. That's what it's for. It's your tool. It's your tool to keep in touch with your families and to empower these kids. Help them to continue this conversation. And remember, the user experience above all. Typical family in your community has no idea what PJRWay is. They barely know what PJ Library is. They know that they get books every month, and they know that it's an amazing concept. So they will need you to help kind of bridge that experience so that it becomes a seamless experience for them. So how does PJRWay work? At the center of PJRWay is the website. This is the nexus of everything that happens. And as new professionals in PJRWay, this is something that you will get used to as we go forward. The website is designed to encourage engagement. This is where everything happens. So in the website, kids are able to choose their books. Every month between the 1st and 10th of the month, they have a choice of 4 books. And how do they learn about the book? They learn about it through book pages. Each book that we offer has a book page where they can see the front cover. And if they click on the cover, actually, I don't know if you can see my mouse over here. If they click on this cover, they can see the back cover of the book as well as the first chapter. That also helps them make their choice. They also can read a blurb about the book. They can go and read reviews of what kids think about the book. And by the way, in an evaluation that we had in May 2015, 70% of kids said that they used the reviews to make their book choices. They can watch a video review. They can read a specially created author biography. They can take quizzes and polls. They can watch videos about the book. So this is really a nexus of information to help kids and their parents make choices about the book, but it's really a platform for creativity. This is where they can submit their reviews. This is where they can also respond to blog posts that are on the homepage. And this is where they can read what other kids are doing around the country. And we also have room for control and for kids to be able to create their own personalized experience and to design their personalized experience. Every member of PJRWay has a profile. They can create their own avatar. This is where they can see what books they've chosen. They can see how many quizzes they've taken, how many polls. So there's an area under profile where kids can actually have a personalized experience. Book selection, this is important. Book selection happens every month between the 1st and 10th of the month. From the HGF office, we send 3 to 4 reminder emails. There are many communities that have started using the 1st to the 10th to also send their own reminder email. Jamie is going to talk later about newsletter, PJRWay newsletter that you can plug into your PJ Library newsletter, and you can decide to send that out between the 1st and the 10th. On average, we've got more than 60% of kids who come back to choose their books every month, which is a great percentage, but we would love more, of course. We also have something for parents on the website. Every book that we offer comes with a parent guide, and this parent guide is basically a ripoff of Common Sense Media, if you're familiar with it. It gives average age range, rating of Jewish content and values, positive role models, and a content advisory. It also gives a summary, knowing most of these books are on average between 150 and 200 pages. Knowing our busy parents, these aren't like PJ Library books. They don't have the time to actually read through these books. Although I was very surprised to find out that in a recent PJ Library survey, something like 30% of parents of 9-year-olds were actually reading books aloud to their kids, which is fabulous. So that is something to remember as well. But assuming that they don't have the time, we try to map it out for them so that they can help their kids make a proper choice that really meets the needs of their family. And we have this nice topics to discuss section. So if they haven't read the book, we give them some topics they can discuss with their kids, and a more for you section, which is basically a little Jewish educational tidbit made just for adults. Okay, so you see, this is the first of the enrollment pages. So like I said, the website is the nexus for everything that happens with PJ Our Way, and including enrollment. And this is always the hardest part for seasoned PJ Library professionals to wrap their head around, because unlike PJ Library, not only don't you have to sign up families, you can't sign them up. They have to sign up themselves. And the reason for that is because this website and this program is online and it's geared towards kids ages under 13. So because of that, parents have to give their approval on the website in order for their kids to be enrolled. You can encourage them, you can bring iPads to events, you can show up at their house and turn on the computer, but at the end of the day, they're going to have to be the ones to sign their kids up. So you'll see this is the first screen of the enrollment, and it says PJ Our Way is currently available in select communities. That is going to change today because now we are available throughout the United States. And yet the program is still going to be zip code based, meaning the way you find out who is signed up is in order to sign up, parents first give the zip code. One second, I have to get back to the screen. Enrollment, as they go through the enrollment process, we use verifiable parental consent, which is something that's used by online websites for kids in this age group, where basically parents have to go through a process where they give the last 4 numbers of their social security number. They don't give the whole one, they just give the last one, and that way we work with a third party who is able to then verify that they are actually the parents of the children that they say they're the parents of. In very few instances, there have been parents who are not comfortable with that, and that's something that you can contact our customer service about. Generally speaking, if they put 0000 as the last 4 digits and they keep submitting the enrollment form, it will eventually ask them verifiable questions like, where did you live in 1972? And what make was your first car? We obviously, it's much easier if they just give the last 4 digits and then they don't have to go through that process. And if you ever have problems, there's a screen, I'll give you information at the end of the webinar and exactly who you contact for each of those issues. This is another aspect that's very interesting to new professionals. You don't have to manage subscriptions. You don't have to approve subscriptions. Those are all approved in the national office through HGF and the data team. So that gives you so much more time to recruit and to program. But in that respect, PJ Our Way is a self-running program. Parents sign up themselves and we approve the subscriptions. Usually during the month, it takes 2 to 3 business days for a subscription to be approved. And during book selection, which is between the 1st and the 10th of the month, our data team works extra hours in order to approve subscriptions within a day so that kids will be able to right away start to select books during that book selection period. But generally speaking, during the month when it's not between the 1st and the 10th, it will take 2 to 3 days. So just so you know, that's something that you can let your families know if they ask you questions. Okay, let's say a family has already enrolled and Joni from Florida, Joni from Miami has joined the program. What happens next? So the first thing that will happen, let me just get back to the screen. The first thing that will happen is that Joni will receive a welcome book in the mail. And that welcome book is not a book that they've chosen. It's just a book that says, we're so happy you've joined PJ Our Way. So that way, even if they join in the middle of the month after book selection, they can get a gift from us saying, we're really happy you're part of PJ Our Way. And even if they join during book selection, the book comes with information about the program and how to choose books. And of course, it's a nice gift from PJ Our Way. That book arrives within 3 to 4 days of their enrollment being approved. It's sent by a first-class mail. Up until this month, since the beginning of the program, the welcome book has been Jordan and the Dreadful Golem by Karen Goldman. And that was when we started the program, our demographic was older and we were trying to reach an older audience. Now that we're going national, we actually are changing the welcome book. As of some point this month in October, the welcome book will switch over to The Adventures of Rabbi Harvey, which some of you may recognize from PJ Library. We took this title from PJ Library because we offer the whole Rabbi Harvey series. So later during the year, they're going to be able to choose the other Rabbi Harvey books. So it seemed like a great welcome book that would appeal to both boys, girls, young, and old. So that book arrives. That book arrives within 3 to 4 days, and I just found out from HGF that book should actually change over this week. So it's probably going to happen sooner rather than later. So thank you for that. Now, regular PJ Our Way books that kids choose themselves usually take 4 to 6 weeks to be delivered. And you probably are wondering, why does it take so long for books to get delivered? That is what happens when we give kids choice. In order for them to be able to get choice in the program, we actually do something really cool that is very innovative. We actually print most of our books on demand. So most of the titles that we offer are printed on demand as kids order them. So if 1,000 kids order Jordan and the Dreadful Golem, we print 1,000 copies of Jordan and the Dreadful Golem. We also, in order to give kids choice and in order to order the right number of books for each kid, depending on what they choose, we wait until we collect all the names and all the book choices, and then we send them out. So if a child chooses a book in the first week of book selection, it will take closer to 6 weeks for the book to arrive, and if they choose it towards the end of book selection, it will take about 4 weeks to arrive. And the way we address this on the website is when kids look at their bookshelf, they see it says November 2016, but it tells them to come back and choose that book October 1st through 10th, so that they know when they come to the website on October, between the 1st and the 10th, they're actually choosing November's book at that point. So that's just to explain how it works. Now, the most exciting part for you is that as soon as you get your letter of agreement into us, it takes a few days, but after we get the letter of agreement, but our data team at that point will make the PJ Our Way dashboard available to you. And you'll see on your regular dashboard, there will be a button that says PJ Our Way Exports. And then when you click on there, it will, as soon as we get your letter of agreement and as soon as the data team has time to group in communities, you will see this appear, and then you will be able to see everybody who has signed up for the program. And by the way, just so you can tell your fellow professionals, even professionals who join later in the year, in the winter, whenever it is, even though PJ Our Way is available to their kids, to their families and their community, but they're not yet partners, they'll still be able to see who is signing up this month and next month until they actually become community partners like yourself. So this actually is an old screenshot. We actually include address as well at this time, and you can see who's signed up and what books they've chosen. So you can also keep track as to how many times they come back to choose books, which is a really good thing for you to know. You don't have to do anything with this dashboard. As I said before, there's no management. So the information just gets uploaded to your dashboard, and you can export it to an Excel or to a data file. And it's there for you to use in order to get to know your demographic and in order to start working on programming and engagement. I also want to take a moment to just say at this point that while we market this program for 9 through 11-year-olds, I want to take a moment to explain what that means. What does it mean, 9 through 11-year-olds? So when we say 11, we mean until the day before a child turns 12. So if a child signs up for PJ Our Way when they're 11 years old and 10 and a half months, they will still be able to be part of PJ Our Way for a full year until a year after they signed up. So that we actually do have quite a number of 12-year-olds in the program, which actually highlights another thing I'd like to tell you, which is something brand new about PJ Our Way, which is that kids can start signing up from age 8.5. So that means if you know that there are kids who are aging out of PJ Library, or they just want to get more challenging books, and the parents have been saying, my kids can read on a much higher level, you can invite them and you can tell them that they can start signing up from the time that the child turns 8.5. Now, we don't advertise this. There will be some mention of this in some of our marketing material. The reason we don't overly advertise it, and the reason we still call it a program for 9 through 11-year-olds, is that it's very important to us to remember that even though a child may be on an advanced reading level, they still may not be able to digest the kind of content that we offer on the website. These aren't PJ Library books anymore. Some of them have Holocaust content. Some of them talk about uncomfortable points in Jewish history. Some talk about contemporary issues that kids have in relationships. So most of all, we don't have much sex in any of our books. I don't think there's any, but Jewish history is such that there is some violence, and that's, you know, that's something that we try to make parents aware of in the parent guides, and we want our professionals to be aware of also. So even though a child may be ready to read technically and mechanically at age 8.5, they may not be ready to look at the website and really choose a book that's more geared towards an 11-year-old. And that is why we also put guidelines on the website to say this is really for, this book is 11 plus, this book is 10 plus, or this book is 9 plus. And so 8.5-year-olds can feel pretty safe choosing the 9 plus books. So that's something for you to be aware of as well. We offer 3 subscriptions per community. So you can sign up with your name, with your address, and just change your birth date to a 9-year-old. You have 3 of those subscriptions. So you can use one for yourself and share the others with partners in your community. Some of our community professionals really just decided to share all 3 of those subscriptions with people in their community, and that's totally up to you. But we do recommend signing up this week so you can get a taste of what the program is like, what enrollment is like, and what the book selection process is like starting October 1st, because there's nothing that compares with the actual face-to-face interaction. So here's some professional takeaways. First of all, you do not have to manage subscriptions. Yay! Take advantage of the professional subscriptions. Dip into the website. Be aware of 4 to 6 week book delivery, and that's why we have the bookshelf saying that you're actually choosing the book for the month that the book is going to arrive rather than the selection month. The welcome book that I mentioned before is actually a perfect programming tool. If you want to start thinking about the adventures of Rabbi Harvey, you know, when you're thinking about doing book clubs or leadership groups or events later in the year, you know that every kid who has enrolled in PJ Our Way will be getting that book in the mail or has gotten that book in the mail. So it's a great programming tool. I know some communities that have used the welcome book as leverage. Come to our PJ Our Way event. If you bring your welcome book, you'll get a free ice cream. And that gets kids to sign up, and they'll get their book just a few days before the big ice cream event. So that's something that communities have done as well. And the website, it's the center of the program. Leverage it to your advantage. If you have an event and you have kids who have made a video, get all the parents to sign parental approvals, and we'll put it on the website. We have some communities where they've had kids make slideshows about how great PJ Our Way is, or what their favorite PJ Our Way book is, or book reviews. Leverage the website because it's a great social media tool. It's a great tool for you to use to promote your programs. Okay, now what everybody's been waiting for, the national launch and what you need to know. So first thing you need to know is what is happening from the HGF side of things. We have this really cool trifold that has been created, and basically, if you look at the introducing the next chapter of PJ Library, where the boy is reading the book Stealing Home, when you fold it in thirds, and when you open that, you see this over here on the left with the girl reading the book, and basically 4 amazing things that you need to know about PJ Our Way. And when you open up the whole trifold, it gives some information for parents, and it gives some information for kids. That trifold is going to be mailed it's going to land in the homes of PJ Library families that we know about around the country whose kids are between 8.5 through age 11. So that's going to start arriving in mailboxes probably starting after Rosh Hashanah, the 2nd week of October. So that's going to be a massive mailing campaign. In addition, we'll be sending out from HGF 3 to 4 constant contact emails directly to the emails that we have of those same families. Remember, we don't have 100% of emails, but whoever's email we do have, we will be sending out emails starting in, we'll probably be sending 2 in October after this trifold arrives, and possibly 1 to 2 in November. In addition, this trifold will start going out to kids who age out of PJ Library starting in November. So we'll start pulling lists nationally of kids who are aging out or who are 8.5 or older, and we'll start sending this trifold to them as well. So that is the HGF massive marketing campaign that's going on. First question all of you want to know, what can you do? So there's a lot of marketing that you can do on your end. Jamie in a moment is going to start talking about Constant Contact and MailChimp, but in the meantime, we have boxes that are being sent to all of you, new communities, that include this wonderful brochure, posters that you can put up, and a PJ Our Way library with a book rack and a book sign. So you can already start putting up the library. You can, we know some communities, especially since Rosh Hashanah is coming up, we know some communities that actually had the library rove around. They started it with one of their major synagogue or temple partners in time for Rosh Hashanah. They moved it during Yom Kippur. They maybe moved it between, you don't have to go crazy, but we do have partners who have, had it be more of a roving library, and some partners who keep it in their office because they want people to see it when they come into their central office. You're going to be getting posters that can be put up everywhere and lots of brochures that can be given out. So that's going to come in your marketing box. Something else that's exciting and new is that we actually have PJ Our Way products available on Crestline. So the other good news is that if you have any remaining marketing allowance available to you, you can use that on Crestline for these marketing items. And Jamie's going to talk now about more marketing items. And Jamie, you can unmute yourself, right? So I want to just introduce Jamie Light. And I also just want to wish Jamie a happy birthday because tomorrow is going to be her birthday. And Jamie, take it away.
Thank you. So hopefully you have received most, if not all, of your marketing materials that Catriella talked about. If for some reason you haven't, please send me an email by the end of the week just so that we can make sure that we get you those materials. They do come in 3 different shipments. It's boxes, a book rack, and then brochures, posters, and a sign for your book rack. And for some people, those have been 3 different boxes that those have come in. So hopefully you have received those materials. You also should have received an email template to use to invite members of your community to enroll in PJ Our Way and to announce your participation in this project to your community. And the images that are on the screen look like what our template looks like. We have basically 3 different versions. We have Constant Contact, MailChimp, and HTML. If you have not received those, please send me an email so we can make sure we get you the format that you need. And if you change your use, so for example, if you've been a MailChimp user and you're starting to use Constant Contact or vice versa, if you can email me and let me know that, we're keeping a master list at HDF and want to make sure that we're getting you the information that you need. If you use Constant Contact, please make sure to give me the email address that is being used or the name of the account that's being used for Constant Contact, because it may be different from yours. So we encourage you to send this email out to your community and ask that you do that by the end of the month. So by September 30th, please send this out to your community. You will be getting little updates from us in the PJ Library engagement newsletter that Judy sends out every week. Last week it announced national launch. This week you'll see that it shares the Crestline information. Each week there will be information in there so that we can keep you updated. We also, I'm going to jump down one, also are really using the Facebook group to keep you updated and to give you information. So keep an eye on that as well. And if you haven't joined the Facebook group, please do. And we will make sure that we answer those questions that come into Facebook as quickly as we can. If you need immediate assistance and it's about a marketing issue, just send me an email, just in case I'm not looking at Facebook at that moment. The other thing that's going to start with October, sorry about that, is you are going to have a tile that you can include in your PJ Library monthly parent newsletter that you get from Lori at HGF. And if you want to use that, then you can use the tile that will have information to share with your parents. Coming soon, we will also have a separate PJ Our Way monthly parent newsletter template that you can use, so that if you want to send out something that's separate just to your PJ Our Way families, that you will have that as well. And again, the goal is to send these out between the 1st and the 10th of the month so that we can encourage sign-up book selection during that time frame. Other things that are coming, we have seen on Facebook the interest for a flyer, so we are going to be developing a flyer that you can use. We are going to be doing customizable versions of our brochure and our postcard. That will come up in the next couple of weeks. Hopefully by the end of the week we will also have where you can order more copies of the brochure if you need it. This is really for new professionals in existing communities or continuing professionals in existing communities. If they want to order the new brochure, then they can order the new brochure from the home office. So those are just some of the ways that we are helping you market to your community. We know you're excited. We are thrilled about you helping to spread the word. There's going to be social media as well that you'll be able to share from what we're producing from the national office. So just, again, keep an eye on the Facebook group, and there'll be much more that's coming out. And if you have questions about any of this, don't hesitate to reach out to me.
Thank you so much, Jamie. And before we go on, I realize there's a lot of information that you're getting on this webinar. So I just want to let you know that it is being recorded, and after the webinar is over, we'll be posting the entire webinar as well as the PDF of the webinar so that you can go through it yourself and you can share it with your team members. Okay, so we focused on marketing, we focused on national launch. So now the big question is, what can you do? What are the things that you can do that's ongoing? So I would say there are probably 3 major goals at this point. The first goal is marketing and recruitment. And you saw that what we're doing on our side is pretty massive across the country, but there's a lot of tools that we've given you so that you can start the marketing and recruitment process on a local level and find out, where are these kids, where are these families, you know, where have they gone since PJ Library, and maybe they're kids and families that have moved into your community that were never part of PJ Library, and how do we find them? Familiarize yourself with your user base. As you start marketing and recruiting, get to know who are the people who are actually signing up for the program through your dashboard. And in order to sweeten the deal and make it easier for you on your end, and this of course will apply much more to extra small, and some mid-sized communities, we are increasing the staff subsidy so that you can now include PJ Arway enrollments along with your PJ Library enrollments towards your staff subsidy. There is still a cap of 1,000, but until you get to that cap of 1,000, you can include PJ Arway enrollments, and there will be a section in your reporting that there won't be any extra reporting. It will happen in your next reporting. Second goal, seamless transition. Remember the user experience, that participants don't know there's a difference between these programs. And we try as hard to create a seamless connection, but it isn't so easy in the fact that parents have to sign up, families have to sign themselves up. There are other aspects that are easier, but there is this break. There's going to be a break between PJ Library and PJ Arway. So everything that we can do to help that transition. And remember, until PJ Arway gets recognition, in the minds of your families, PJ Library is your brand. And of course, there are the important distinctions that we talked about, but in their minds, it's still PJ Library. Third goal, introduce programming. And this is slowly but surely. Some of our most active communities, and I'm sure you've seen this on the Facebook page, some of our most active communities did not actually start programming until 3 or 4 months after launching. So focus on your marketing and recruitment, get to know your demographic, and then start your programming. And one of the things we try to highlight is that engagement, even in small numbers, is key. And we count a lot of different types and sizes of programs as a PJ Arway program. Here's an example from Charleston where they partnered with a synagogue that was one of their major partners for a Hanukkah program, and you can see there's the PJ Arway logo and the PJ Library logo. It was a community event, but because they were partnering with Congregation Dor Tikva, it became a PJ Library and PJ Arway event, and they made sure to have something that would engage all age groups. So this was a big event, a big community event. But you'll hear more from Saskia, and you'll hear more in our future webinars. An event can also be a book club. It can be a leadership group of 10 kids. It can be a virtual book club. It doesn't need to be hundreds of kids. It can be 10 kids. The point is that you're reaching those kids and you're engaging with them and you're making them ambassadors for the program, which will eventually trickle to other kids as well. So we've got resources to tell you about. Jamie already spoke about Facebook, but I can't emphasize enough how important Facebook is. It's a hive of ideas, and once you join, if you look back, you'll see there's so much going on. And at this point, I really fell. It's almost like, you know, when we started, we had 10 communities, and now we've got communities that are answering the questions. We barely have to go on because we have so many experienced communities that are there to be a resource, and they're very active on Facebook. We have our resource center that Jamie referred to as well. And here's where we really could use your help. This resource center just started just a few months ago, and we're trying to populate it as much as possible with useful information for you. So anytime you see something that's not there, or you see something and it could be different for you, let us know. Keep the communication channels open for us. And we've got webinars to offer you during the year. And some of these are to be decided dates, but what we've tried to do is we've scheduled the next 3 webinars. And as you can see, they're all scheduled for a Wednesday between 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Time. So the first webinar, which is currently scheduled for November 16th, and may change, is wearing 2 hats, working with PJ Library and PJ Arway, which is probably the biggest challenge. If you're a professional that's working with both programs, how do you wear both hats? We have a great webinar scheduled for December 14th that Saskia is actually going to be presenting to PJ Library as well. So this is going to be open to all professionals, which is running on Kid Power, using kids and empowering and engaging kids to be your ambassadors to build your local design team. And Wednesday, January 15th, from camps to community programming. Jamie Light now has been working with camps for over a year, and she's been a great bridge in terms of connecting camps and communities. So how can you use camps and some of the programming they've created to pump up your PJ Arway program? And we have many more webinars to offer. These are just 3 that are upcoming in the next few months. So that's another great resource. And now we turn to Saskia Swenson-Moss, who's going to be talking about the National Design Team.
Hello, everybody. Nice to hear you all, or at least see you all on the nice messages and questions we've been getting. Okay, so this is a very exciting part of the program, and it's very different in a way from what you're used to probably with PJ Our Way. Then what is the PJ Our Way National Design Team? You can think of them in many ways as the face of PJ Our Way. This is a group of kids from around the country, and it's been going on since PJ Our Way started. We're going into our 4th year now. And they are the ones that create all the kid-centered content, meaning all the reviews that you're going to read, the very initial reviews that kids read before kids start getting the books and reading them themselves, the preview videos that kids click on to know what books they should choose, many of the blogs, the quizzes, and the polls. Much of this content is actually written by kids. And the impetus behind this was that when we first started with PJ Our Way, we realized that not only do kids need choice of books, but they also are very invested in what their peers are invested in. If Catriella, Jamie, and myself sat down and created, videos and reviews and things like that, they might be interesting, but they may not click with a 9, 10, or 11-year-old. The best people to make content for that age group are people in that age group. So with this in mind, we started the National Design Team, and it's 10 kids from around the country who apply every year. We're right now in that application time. Don't feel anxious because it comes around every year. So I'm going to talk about it a little bit, and I'm going to give you some tools and some tips on how to promote it if you'd like in your community. But really your first priority right now is to just learn about the program, connect with your partners, and start to recruit. However, it is a draw to some kids who might be interested in being on the National Design Team. They have to sign up for PJ Our Way before we consider them. So that's while you're doing some of your recruitment, if it's something you feel like you can do, you can also spread the word about the design team. So what happens? How does this content get created? So these kids, as you can see, this is our website here. And you can see that it says, for example, Bug video by Eitan, Time of Angels video by Anna, Small, Medium, and Large by Rebecca. These kids meet with me from November through May, and they read all the books ahead of time. So all the books that are going to be offered during this year, these kids will read, and they will do the content that goes with the books. It's not just myself that meets with these kids. We also always have a team leader. And this year, we're very excited to have a teen who was on our design team 2 years ago. Her name is Hannah Plotkin. You'll see if you go on our website after this webinar and click on the Make a Difference, Join the National Design Team, you'll see a fabulous video that she created to get kids interested in applying to the design team. And she and I really plan the meetings and run the meetings together. In everything that we try to do with the kids, we really try to model that it's about the kids and it's also involves them. We even had a National Design Team leader at our PJ conference last year, for some of you who may remember, Zachary Sharlick. Click. Go ahead, Catriella, you can change the slide. Thanks. Okay, so the next question is, this is the design team. As I said, we're looking for the new team right now. Applications will be due at the end of October and take the next couple weeks, just first 2 weeks of November, to review them all, and then we'll pick 10 design team members from around the country to be our new team. The things that you can do to spread the word about the design team is you can definitely tell your partners as you're connecting them with PJ Our Way, and this beautiful little template we will be getting to you by the end of the week, probably by early next week, in your PJ professional newsletter. And I'm going to make it available to you so that you can use this to promote the design team. And one thing that you should remember is that any application that I receive, let's say I get one from Baltimore, or I get a few from Philadelphia, or I get some from Texas or different parts of the country, I always send to the professional from whom those applications came. So I will send you, right after October 30th, I will send you all the applications, including if there was a design team member chosen from your community. And you can use those applications to do programming with those kids, because the kids that apply to the design team are usually kids that want to do a little bit more. They actually want to go one step beyond just getting a book and writing a review. They want to do maybe blog writing. They maybe want to help plan a program. These are things we will talk more about in December, once you guys are sort of into PJR Way a couple months. But it is, I just wanted you to know that you will get all the applications. And what's important is that you kind of spread the word about this. You can post on your social media. You can put links into your PJ or PJR Way newsletter. And another thing is, if you feel sort of overwhelmed and like, you're doing a lot to just get PJR Way started, maybe you just know one or two kids who come into your JCC or who are at the day school, or maybe one of your partners knows the kids, and you can just spread the word even individually to those kids. Kids love to be invited to something. And as you'll see as we go along right now, there's ways to create local design teams using the applications that I send you, so that no kid feels like they didn't get to participate. So even if they don't become a national design team member, there are still many ways to pull that child into programming and fun things that you're doing on the community level. Click. Okay, here's Hannah Plotkin, our wonderful new teen leader for 2016-17. And she's the person who's really going to be running this with me. I can't stress enough that the more design team applications we get, the better a pool of talent we have to choose from, always remembering that you can link these kids in on a local level. And I should also say that I have a more informal kid advisory committee who helps me with things that the design team doesn't do. For example, they do a lot of the blogs, or if there's a question on the tiles, like for example, there's going to be a question this October on the website about Rosh Hashanah. This more informal team helps me create that kind of content. Any kid that applies to the design team, and if they don't make it on the design team, I invite them to be part of the kid advisory committee. Our philosophy here is that no kid that shows an interest should not be scooped up by us. And so though we can only take 10 plus the teen for the design team, and that really has to do with the intimacy of the group and the hard work that they do, and also the technology that we use, we do make other options available to any child who applies. So that's something to keep in mind too. And that child is always mentioned by their community as well, so that if you get a child on the Kid Advisory Committee, that's also wonderful for your community. I'll just end by saying we will talk more about this in December, though the application deadline is October 30th. So if you could do a little push, that would be amazing. And Hanukkah, thinking ahead, once we've chosen our team, we'll be talking to you about doing some press releases. We have press releases for design team members, and Hanukkah is always a good time to get those out, because you can do stories about, local design team, national design team kid helps bring the gift of free books to their community, something like that. So this is one of the best examples of how we put kids in the driver's seat. We'll talk more about it in December, and I would be thrilled to have any of the kids from your communities apply. Thank you.
Thank you, Saskia. And now for some information about another program that's an offshoot of PJR Way, PJR Way at Camp. And now we've turned back to Jamie.
Hi, everyone. So what you see on the screen is our list of 46 partner camps that we worked with this summer. We worked with 41 overnight camps and 5 day camps to bring PJR Way to camp. And we had a phenomenal summer of fun and programming and connection and engagement with PJR Way. And as a birthday present to me, today or tomorrow, we will invite 5,500 campers to join the PJR Way program. And then our camps within the next couple of weeks will invite another 2,000 or so. So hopefully very soon you will start seeing names pop up on your dashboards that are coming from our camp program this summer. Each of the camps received books to share with their campers, and did some type of fun book distribution and some fun and or meaningful programming to connect with the books. An example is that Crane Lake and Eisner camps did Hanukkah in August to connect with Panina Levine as a potato pancake. And there were book clubs and cabin reading times and cartoon drawing and so many fun theme programs and educational programs that connected with our books that can be model programs that you can use in your communities. The other exciting thing is that all of these camps are going to be using PJ Our Way to do year-round engagement. And so many of them may reach out to you to find a way that they can connect with you and connect with your community. And it's a great opportunity for you for partnership to increase your group that you're programming with or increase your group that you are engaging with and looking to enroll in the program. And so my role is with the camps, but it's also to be a bridge for you so that you can be a partner with the camp. So if you see a camp that's on this list that serves your community, please be in touch with me, let me know, and I can help connect you with the camp professional that leads the program for us. It's a really phenomenal opportunity for partnership, and we're really excited to see what these camps do this year. We're in the process of figuring out what 2017 is going to look like for camps, but we hope that we will have all of these camps and more who will participate in the program, and we'll keep you posted as we have more details about the application process and how we're going to include more camps next year.
Yeah. And hope you can hear me. Thank you so much. And now, some information for you. We're here to support you. And now we actually have a team. We always had a team, but now somehow 3 feels like even more of a team. So in general, for overall policy and program direction, ideas for how the program could change or anything like that, and for book submissions, by the way, I have something below where generally book submissions are sent to info@pjourway.org, but you guys are part of the mishpacha, so if you know a great author or you know a book that you read or you have a recommendation like that, all of those things can go to me. In general, anything having to do with programming, with engagement, with design team, those questions go to Saskia, and her information is here. By the way, a little known secret is that Saskia and I both live in Israel. So although we live in Israel, we have these US numbers that are really clunky and don't work very well. Just remember that we're 7 hours ahead of Eastern time and 10 hours ahead of Pacific time. And you can try us on these numbers. They will work, and then we will usually call you back. But we're always available to answer emails, and we're always available to set up meetings as needed. On the East Coast, but really not so much the East Coast, in Cleveland is Jamie, and she's there to answer any kind of marketing or resource center question or PGR Away at Camp question. So those marketing questions about MailChimp and constant contact and brochures, all of that kind of stuff can go to Jamie. You can also email marketing@hgf.org, and our marketing team, you can CC both of them, J-Light and marketing@hgf.org, especially if you have specific orders that you want to make or specific questions about things that you can purchase. You can email both of them, and Jamie will usually field the questions, or it'll go straight to marketing. For technical problems, for book delivery problems, for general book submissions, if you want to let your families know, and for comments, for parent comments, that all goes to customer service. We have an amazing customer service team. It was led by Lisa Dawson, and Lisa's going to be moving towards the marketing team, but she's still there to help with customer service questions, and she's just been a phenomenal resource in terms of answering questions. So what can I say in order to conclude? All I can say is I'm feeling verklempt. There's a lot of excitement. It's an unbelievable, I couldn't imagine that less than 2 years ago we would already be in this stage where we're going national, and we're welcoming so many new communities as part of your group. So many of you have such great experience and are coming with such fresh ideas and with a new lens to help us start in this new reality of PJ Our Way. So good luck to all of us, And remember that it is a website, so sometimes it can be a little bit clunky, but it's a strong website, and it's engaging, interactive, and some really good books in this program and some really good engagement tools. So remember, we're going to be sending you a recording of this webinar as well as a PDF. And if you have any questions, we're here to help you. So thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining today, and have a great rest of your day. And Happy New Year, Shana Tova.